Hey everybody, today I am going to be reviewing Jurassic World Rebirth. This was directed by Gareth Edwards. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I stopped watching this franchise around the third movie, so yeah, back in 2001. I just thought the magic was gone at that point. I didn't see any reason to continue from my end. Am a huge fan of the original, obviously. So there's a huge chunk of time that I am missing here so far as the lore is concerned, because yeah, I never saw the Chris Pratt Jurassic World entries. Again, I don't have interest. But I didn't feel that worried about being like clueless or too disoriented so far as this new one is concerned because, well, for a couple of reasons. But number one, it is a monster movie. You have big dinosaurs, they go roar, people run. It's not that complicated. But also because this film is meant to be kind of a revamping, a reboot of the entire series. The typical thing where we try to return to grassroots, where we attempt to understand the fundamental, more simple elements that made the original click, made it a classic. You have strong, notable actors that are assembled here. You have a director who is known more for the monster movies, and they are using the same writer that they used in the original film as an example. But if you haven't noticed, they do this often enough, and to me, the results are often just retreaded material that is copy and pasted over a new kind of paper-thin storyline with little to no originality. There's not enough charm to the nostalgic elements to win over the old audiences, nor is there anything that original or inspired to win over the youth. So to me, it's all pointless. It is an exercise to me in like being tentative, and what we need, what we want is boldness. Gareth Edwards is a director that you all know that I struggle with. I have reviewed a lot of his films on this channel for whatever reason, and not a single one of them has worked for me. As I've said many times before, it's not that he is untalented. I think he understands composition, he understands the power of a cinematic image, and he has somewhat of a grasp, I think, on world building, especially so far as the images are concerned. But for me, everything that he has made just feels muted and monotone, as if we are draining all the poetry, all the humor, and the charm out of these once unique properties and adding nothing really of substance to them. None of it feels connected to anything beyond just basic padding. In this case, I think that the script is severely underwritten. The musical score, as an example, it feels hacky and underwritten as well. And a lot of the big climactic moments in this feel exhaustingly telegraphed. Most of the characters here have little to no dilemmas, little to gain that builds with any sort of suspense, I guess with the exception of Mahershala Ali, that character. But even there, the execution is so forced. It's as if we're just like hammering out the backstory when we need to, get it out of the way, again with very little exploration. But I do think that Ali is maybe the best performer of the group. I think he's effortless on screen. He shows the most humanity, even with such mid-ass dialogue. I think somebody like Scarlett Johansson, she's fine, she's comfortable, obviously. She's a veteran at this point. But again, her character has very little to gain, no personality, so she's just infusing it with as much as she possibly can. And the rest of the crew here are just cardboard cutout stereotypes, again, with no humor, no charm. When I say that this film hits nearly all the same beats as the original, oh, I am not kidding. It is all the same. When they first get to the island, as an example, they have that big moment of wow, sense of wonder with the herbivores. We have our moment later of rest from the action where the kids get to wake up and see all the cute, sweet sides of the dinosaurs like their pets. Mahershala Ali even does the Jeff Goldblum like personal sacrifice scene, where he's luring the T-Rex away from the kids, but it's lazy, it's boring. Many of the big sequences feel rushed or mismanaged, and they don't have a lot of tread in the tires, as I've said. There was one sequence that I think they should have. I really wish they had taken advantage of. It's the cliff sequence where they're climbing down. I just think that's a perfect place to play with some tension in some ways that we haven't in other Jurassic Park films to the same degree. Make us feel the height of those cliffs and just that feeling of that rope about to snap. Could have been great, but nothing sticks for long. Yes, I think some of the locations here are gorgeous, and like I said before, there is a sense of world building to a degree. It's just not with any fingerprints. It feels like all the edges are hollowed out with no roughness. For me, the best sequence in the whole movie takes place in the first act, and it's the water sequence with the family of civilians on the boat. They are the most interesting characters in the movie by my estimation, and I think we're struggling to find a way to merge their story with that of the crew. At least you feel something for them. They do, in the beginning of the sequence, at least try to build them as a family. It's like the daughter is dating this guy and the dad doesn't particularly like him, so you have all those dynamics at play. They take a little bit more time here to orient the viewer in the sense of place, this feeling of being out in the water and there's nothing around and there's this giant thing underneath that could strike at any moment. I found that somewhat tense. And it's also a little bit different, something that we did not see in the original film. I wish that the size of these animals, the magnitude of them, could have been felt a lot more in contrast to these little humans on this little boat. When these things leap and hit the water, it's like there is a splash, but you don't feel the ripple of that water, I think, rocking you violently. There's no real sense of scale, but there was the potential for it. Sadly, no dinosaurs in this entire franchise outside of the original, or really any movie with any dinosaur I have ever seen, comes close to the original Jurassic Park so far as special effects is concerned. And I remember being a kid thinking, this is revolutionary. How are they ever going to top this? How is it going to get better? But it's going to get better, right? A resounding no. That's because, as I say a million times in so many reviews, I think the best use of special effects is when you combine computer effects, digital effects, whatever, with the practical. And then that way it's not full-blown CGI that is steamrolling over all those human textures. So it's the fact that Jurassic Park combines the two so brilliantly. That's what gives it the terror and the tangibility. And here in this movie, we do have our moments where we get to look around and it's like, wow, we get to see the mysticism, the beauty of nature, but also that violent undercurrent. That's very cool. But the dinosaurs themselves, to me, they feel like graphics, like video game graphics from like 2016. There's also this added climactic element to the movie where we have these hybrid dinosaurs that are like merging together, I guess to up the stakes. But in my opinion, it's like they just took H.R. Giger, the original, alien designs, and just put them in this movie. So it is an eye roll. More cut and paste, but this time not even from Jurassic Park, from an entirely different property. I did review 28 Years Later a few weeks ago, so it is somewhat fresh on my mind. But the reason I bring that up is they do a similar thing where they have like these crossbreeds of zombies, and it's meant to, I guess, up the ante. But at least those felt menacing. It's like you could feel an increase in the physicality, in the speed, in the strength, and the way that they murder their prey. It is quite memorable. But to me, Jurassic World Rebirth, it's like it's constantly in search for something distinct. It's a movie that is constantly trying to find this sweet spot to warm us up back into this franchise. But none of it feels convincing or like this has any reason to exist at all. So, it's not an awful film. It is not a train wreck, but it's lukewarm, which in its own way is kind of insulting during blockbuster season when you are expecting a lot of pomp and circumstance. Like I said, I stopped a long time ago. To me, this franchise had no reason to be a franchise. So no, I am not recommending this film. Really, there is only one of these movies that you should watch, and it is the original film because it is fantastic. It gives you everything that you could want in a summer film. So I don't see why you should seek out some corporate copy of it that only really exists to propel sales, keep something going. I don't know, just rubs me the wrong way. I say don't waste your time with this. But that is my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to plug my website as always. It is deepfocuslens.com. I'm an artist. I do commission portraits and I sell prints of my work. If that is something that you're interested in, you can always go to the website below. And if you have a question about a commission or a print, you can always email me. My email is in the description box below as well. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons who are great. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Welcome to all the new members. If you are interested in supporting, the link for that is below, as well as the rest of my social media information. You can watch my videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.